start?
Let's start, I believe so. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. From sunny and hot Cyprus. We are all here today for this international webinar, the day after Brexit, which is organized by the Great Britain Cyprus Business Association. And allow me to introduce to you our speakers, Mr. Stavas Avidis, Executive Partner and Managing Director of the Paphos Office of Michael Kyprianou and Co. LLC. We have Mr. Stephen Colpo from KCU International LLP, from Quarantina Home Cyprus, Mr. Raj Rar, Mrs. Stella Zanios from the Exus Group, and Mr. Alexander Kisakiadis, partner at Accurate China E. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, panelists, welcome. Let's hear a few words from the founder of the association, Mr. Stavas Kyriakidis, and I'm sure he will explain us the thought behind this beautiful and useful webinar. Mr. Kyriakidis, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Paola. Good afternoon, everybody. First, I would like to thank our 5 speakers, Savas, Stephen, Raj, Stella, and Alex for their participation. I also would like to thank our board sponsors, Michael Kyprianou and Co., and our sponsors, Quarantina Homes and Exus Group, for their support. Above all, I want to thank all the attendees for joining us today and spending 1.5 hours with us. I really appreciate it. Great Britain Cyprus Business Association organized these webinars because, as you know, now we are unable to organize any events due to the COVID-19. And this is an opportunity to bring businesses together and at the same time to update you about very interesting and important subjects in the business world. If you want to join the association, please contact us. And if you want to participate in the future webinars, you are more than welcome to send us an email and send you more information about the upcoming events and webinars. And if you also want to be sponsors of our webinars, you are more than welcome. I don't want to speak too much because our speakers have very interesting things for you. Thank you very much and enjoy the webinar.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kyriakidis. So this allows us to go to the first speaker, who is Mr. Stavas Avidis. He will talk about the transformation of the Cyprus investment program and the way to the Cyprus residency. And I believe he will also elaborate on ways to gain a secret passport, especially in cases where a parent is from Cypriot origin. Allow me to say a few things about Mr. Avidis, who graduated from Leeds University in the United Kingdom and gained as well a master's degree in European Law and Integration from Leicester University. He's an external lecturer of the Holborn College in the United Kingdom. And as a lawyer, he counsels clients from all over the world in regards to business as well as to personal matters. He has been listed 4 times continuously on the City of Leaders list as a leading lawyer and has been praised many times from the Legal 500. Knowing Mr. Avidis for many years, I have to tell you that he's an excellent professional, very good husband, and a devoted father to his 2 little girls. Mr. Avidis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Stavas Kyriakidis, for organizing this. I would like to start by saying that things are changing, not only to the COVID-19, but also to the fact that now we're going to face a new era by having the UK not be part of the European Union. So even though there is a lot of discussions around this issue, and it's been discussed now for a long time, still we can see things are changing from day to day. It's a new era, it's a new, the new challenges all around us these days. And I will just, before I start sharing my screen and start my presentations, I would like just to share something with all of you here about these changes in this new era that we are facing at the moment. I remember last October last year, when my kid came home and she brought in a note in her book where it says, a note from her teacher where it was saying that she's a little Einstein. So I was so excited about that. So the next day I went over to the school in order to find out about this little Einstein, which was my daughter. And then I was surprised out to find out that all the kids was a little Einstein there, not only my kid. So it gave me the chance at that time to go through the biography of Einstein. And something that stuck on my head, it was something that one of his assistants write about him, where, you know, Einstein was teaching on a university as well. So one day his assistants ran over to him and he said, Professor, I think you make a great mistake. And Einstein stepped over to her and said, what mistake? Professor, I think you passed over the same exam as last year. So you're using the same questions that you used last year. And he turned over to her and he said, don't worry, the questions are the same. The answers are different. So by this point, he wanted to point out the fact that things are changing every year. So as we stand now today, we're facing new challenges. So under the circumstances, all of us as professionals, we need to devote it amongst to our clients, offer our services to our clients in a different way. And one of these different ways is through the webinars, is to assist them in relation to all the problems they are facing these days and provide them answers in all possible ways. Today, I'm going to give you 3 ways how the life of someone can change by getting a different way of lifestyle. So through my presentations, I'm going to explain about the Cyprus Investments Program. I'm going to explain about the Permanent Residence Program of Cyprus. And last but not least is I'm going to explain roughly about the acquisition of citizenship due to Cypriot origin. I'm going to share my screen with you because I think it would be much more easier for our audience to follow me through my notes. And then at the end of my presentations, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. So just allow me just 1 minute to share my screen, please. Right, the transformations of the Cyprus Investments Program, the CIP as well known, and the way to permanent residence and becoming a Cypriot citizen. As previously as explained, I'm going to go through these 3 areas and how can someone acquire the Cyprus citizenship. Now, why Cyprus? This is, I think, the first question that someone can ask. Why to choose Cyprus? First of all, is due to his strategic locations of the country. But I think the most important thing these days, especially for people coming from the United Kingdom, is the fact that Cyprus was always had a very friendly relationship with the United Kingdom. And we can see that by the number of expatriates that currently they are living here in Cyprus. However, we should not forget a very important also fact that Cyprus has a very favorable taxation system, and also it's a country that gives to to citizens and other peoples as well that they decide that they're making the decisions in order to choose Cyprus as their tax country, a very favorable taxation systems, and also the fact that Cyprus has joined a double tax treaties with a number of other countries. Pleasant climate, high standard of living, strong health systems, history and culture is amongst the other things that make Cyprus as a favorable destination. The Cyprus Investments Program through the years has gone through a lot of changes. You can see a lot of articles published over on the website and on the internet these days, and a lot of discussions going through the Cyprus Investments Program. However, all of these discussions and all these changes that the systems went through the recent years, they had only one thing in common: to make the Cyprus Investments Program more safe and more attractive for people coming from third countries, but also to be one of the safest programs compared with any other countries around the world, that they're offering similar, but not the same program. Investors reach new highly promising markets by going through the Cyprus Investments Program. They find a very friendly environment, and especially these days that Cyprus is one of the 5th safest destinations around the world. The combinations of business, leisure, health, and safety for the family is one as well of the other factors that make the systems very attractive. Let's talk about, however, who is eligible for this program, and I will list down some of the most important criteria, which again, I cannot go through an exhaustive list of all the criteria because we don't have much time, and I apologize again because I lost some of my minutes trying to put my screen on. Now, any non-Cypriot citizens may apply for the Cyprus Investments Program if they meet one of the investment criteria. One is the donations of 100,000 euros to one out of 4 government control organizations. And secondly, the donations of 100,000 to the Cyprus Land Development Corporations. These two contributions are of essential, but the most important thing is that the applicant should make an investment for at least 2 million for the purchases or constructions of a real estate. An investor can make a selection of the options, either to invest on the real estate, or it has the options as well to purchase and establish and participate in a Cyprus business and a companies by investing over on shares. An alternative option as well is by investments in funds or financial assets of Cyprus enterprises or Cyprus organizations licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commissions. A combination of the above two investments can be made, with the only difference is that when you make a combination of the investments, then the investments amount from 2 million increased to 2.5 million, since 500,000 needs to be invested on a residential property. So if you're going to make a combinations, then the investment amount it could reach up to 2.5 million. If, however, choose one of the other two options as listed here in your screens on 2A or B or C, then the total amount of investment is 2 million, which amongst the 2 million, it includes a property, a house, a residential property of 500,000 euros. What is the benefits of the Cyprus Investments Program, and why someone will choose the Cyprus Investments Program? First above all, a fundamental right of free movement to work, to study, and security with the social and legal systems of the EU. It's one of the most important benefits that someone gets by investing on the Cyprus Investments Program. The benefits goes for the whole family, and what makes it unique as well is that the citizenship passed down to future generations. So once it's granted, then the future generations can get the Cyprus citizenship as well. The completion time varied between 6 to 8 months, and another very attractive reasons for going through the Cyprus Investments Program is the fact that there is a visa-free or visa or an arrival travel to 174 destinations, including Canada, Hong Kong, Singapore, and the UK. Currently, the government as well is making a lot of discussions in order to include the United States of America amongst the countries with visa-free, but we still have a lot of discussions to go through with the United States at the time being. Let me now move over to another alternative options. An alternative options that doesn't involve the Cyprus Investments Program, doesn't involve the investments of the 2 million, but you still can get a permanent residence in Cyprus and get the benefits of living in Cyprus and having a permanent residence granted for a lifetime, which is different, however, from the Cyprus Investment Program by having the Cyprus citizenship. Who is eligible to apply for the permanent residence is non-EU nationals who invest in Cyprus and meet certain criteria. What makes it unique as well with the permanent residence program is that the applicant's parents and parents-in-law can apply and obtain the permanent residence, and the holders does not need to reapply as long as he visits Cyprus every 2 years and maintain his/her residence in Cyprus. So once it's granted, there is no any limitations as to how many days you're going to live in Cyprus, but the only limitation is that you need to visit Cyprus every 2 years. Now, why the PR? Why the permanent residence in Cyprus? I listed below some of the most beneficial points, which is, for example, access to the Cyprus General Health System, access to the educational system, the very low taxation, the opportunity to expand business. I need, however, to point out here that those that they are getting the permanent residence, they are not allowed to work in Cyprus, but there is nothing stopping them from investing over in Cyprus and owning shares on a number of companies. Also, by the permanent residence, there is a great opportunities, excuse me, in order to get a non-dom tax resident status, which again, by obtaining the non-dom tax resident status, a permanent residence holder can exclude it completely by the defense tax, which currently is 17%. We should not forget as well that Cyprus has one of the lowest tax rates around Europe, which is 12.5%, which is one of the lowest compared with any other countries around Europe. There is a lot of criteria that needs to be applied. I just listed here some of them. First of all, they need to invest in a real estate unit for at least 300,000 euros plus VAT. 200,000 euros plus VAT should be paid in advance to enable the applications to go through, and the rest of the funds can be paid upon the completion of the applications. The applicant may purchase up to 2,000 units by the same developing company, so he can buy one and he can rent the other one, for example, for investment purposes. And one of the other criteria is that the applicant must make a bank deposit of 30,000 into a Cyprus bank account, which must be pledged for 3 years. As previously explained, the permanent residence can be granted as well for the parents and the parents-in-law, with the only obligations that they need to prove an increased income of 5,000 euros for every dependent person, and by 8,000 euros every dependent parent or parents-in-law. What makes it unique as well here is the fact that the spouse incomes may be taken into considerations when you apply for the permanent residence and you need to meet over the criteria. Last but not least, another option, an alternative, is to acquire the citizenship of Cyprus due to Cypriot origins. I'm going to go very quickly in relation with these applications, as I'm taking a lot of the time. There is different alternative options here. We're talking about the first one is applications type M71, which it can be submitted by persons born prior to the 16th of August 1960. Why this day is because it's the day that Cyprus get its independency. So those that they've been born prior to 16th of August 1960, who are citizens of the United Kingdom and its former colonies, who originate from Cyprus, from the male side, and resident permanently abroad. An alternative is application M72, which can be submitted by persons born prior to the 16th of August, who are not citizens of the United Kingdom and its former colonies, and who originate from Cyprus from the male side. There is a number of company documents that needs to be go through with these applications, which I would be more than happy to go through later on individually. An alternative option is applications for consular birth certificates type M121, which can be submitted by either minors or adults above the age of 18 who were born abroad after the 16th of August 1960 and whose father at the same time of birth was a Cypriot citizen, and by individuals born after the 11th of June 1999 whose mother was a Cypriot citizen at the time of their birth. Again, there is a number of documents that needs to be accompanied for this, which I'm just going to stick only one on it, that the certificate of registration of the Cypriot parent, where this applicable, is of essence in these applications. There is another alternative options as well, which I'm not going to go through now, which is the applications under type M126 and the application under 123 and 124, which again, this depends as well every time under individual circumstances of each applicant. I'm not going to go through now because, as I said, I'm taking a lot of time, but I will be more than happy to answer any questions later on, or if anyone has anything that needs to be asked. Thank you very much for listening. Paula, over to you.
Okay, you can stop sharing the screen now, Savas.
Okay, good luck to me. Stop sharing. Yes, I've done it.
Excellent. So just to let know all the attendees, thank you for participating this afternoon. Please write your questions on the chat and I will be monitoring them, and towards the end the panelists will be able to answer your questions. So let's go to our next speaker. His title is very intriguing: Brexit, some facts plus a little bit of opinion. Mr. Stephen Caldwell, the owner and principal of the International Tax Advisor of KCU International LLP. Allow me to say that if you wish to avoid litigation and disputes, Stephen is the person that you need to go to. He has a great experience, over 30 years in the industry, including roles as an expert witness and other prominent international positions. And KCU International LLP is the leading international tax advisor, which Stephen leads it. The company specializes in real estate, financial and online sectors, and he's a global expert in dealing with tax matters pertaining to ultra-high net worth individuals. So Stephen, we're all ears. I love your title.
Thank you, and thank you for that glowing introduction. First of all, thank you to the Great Britain and Cyprus Business Association for inviting me here. As you can see from the painting behind, I am speaking from London. And you've done a nice introduction there. I've actually got a longer text of what I'm going to say, which will go onto my blog page, and I will share it with Exus, the association, and put it through LinkedIn and Twitter and wherever. So you'll get more details on the blog. Yep, facts and then some opinion. Well, first some important facts. When 1st of January 2021 arrives, that will be when we get to the end of the transitional period. We have already left the European Union on 31 January. We're now in a position where we're to negotiate something, but also where we're not allowed to deviate from EU law. But from 1st of January 2021, we are on our own. And sticking with the facts, the sun will rise. It will set later on in that day. It will still be winter in the Northern Hemisphere. There will still be bills to pay, lots of them probably, and time will continue. And it will still be the case that anyone who wants to be a politician should be banned from being a politician. So what should the UK do? What can the UK do? In short, and I think this is a trick that the politicians have missed, we can do whatever we want. We don't have to agree with anybody what we want to do. We can do what we want. If we want EU citizens to have the right to stay in the UK, we can do that. Likewise, if we want the newly discovered life forms from Venus to work in the UK, we can offer them a work permit. We might be a bit too cold, but we can do that. What about the EU financial services businesses? There have been lots of them with passports into London. What are we going to do about those? People like AXA, Allianz, and all the others. Well, we've already done it. Last April, the UK's Financial Conduct Authority said to all EU passported businesses into London that they could apply with a fast-track application to be fully authorised in London straight away. That was done April last year, all done. So it's what I would call the principle of life. If the UK was happy with something from the EU on 31 December 2020, why would it suddenly be unhappy with it the next day on 1st of January? It'll be the same product, it'll be the same food, electrical goods, it'll still be the same Romanian source beef lasagna made 100% of horse meat. We can still do all that. Personally, I would have introduced matching customs and excise rules for the UK that match the EU ones, and let the rest of the world apply WTO terms to the UK, except we can't, because that's contrary to the WTO. So what are WTO terms? Key principle, and you have to listen very carefully to this, is that the most favoured nation principle. That is, no country can offer preferential treatment to another country that is a WTO member, or you have to treat them all the same, unless there is a free trade agreement. Now, a free trade agreement basically means an agreement to reciprocate benefits on a range of matters, not just VAT, not just tax, but also things like where corporations have disputes over intellectual property, and many, many other things which I'll refer to later. The UK has asked for a Canada-style agreement. That's often called CETA, Canada-Europe Trade Agreement. We've asked for a Canadian-style agreement, but the EU have said no, because first of all, the UK is geographically too close to the EU. I'm not sure we can do anything about that. The EU rights of fish, they should be being able to be caught by other people. And also they want the level playing field, i.e. could we abide by future EU rules as well, which would really defeat the point of Brexit. So what happens if there is no FTA? Then we will be, in EU speak, a third country. First country would be Cyprus, another member state, the second country. We are a third country. We are outside the EU. So that means we can't blame the EU for our VAT rules anymore, but we can have, lawfully for a change, our super high VAT registration threshold of £88,000, which is a little over 96,000 euros. In 2011, I was part of a team which surveyed our clients on the VAT Green Paper published by the European Commission, which eventually led to the EU abandoning the origin system of VAT and sticking with the transitional destination principle. That transition period was meant to be short, and it started on 1st of January 1993, and we are still in it. Or rather, sorry, you are still in it. We're out there. That green paper was a huge document. But one of the things that surprised us was that a lot of EU businesses were saying it was easier for them to send goods out of the EU and bring them back than to deal intra-EU. And that tells you that something then was broken. It's not been fully fixed yet, but it's still there. So on the basis of that evidence, in fact, we're all better off with the UK being outside the EU. To actually facilitate feedback on that document, and I say it was a very large document, I asked our teams to speak to clients and ask them what the worst 3 things were about the EU VAT system. Well, most often, the most given answer, which was always number 1 and occasionally number 2, was Italy. Everything about Italy's VAT systems was the worst. And on some occasions, it ranked 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. That's how bad Italy is. What does the EU do about it? Not a lot. I personally have taken more lawsuits against the Italian Republic than any other member state. So what if we get an FTA? What does it cover? Well, if you look at the published version later on, it's a whole list of things, but it covers not just tax, as I said, but commercial disputes, rules of origin, subsidies, state aid, anti-corruption, and technical barriers. So, for example, if you ever go to South Korea, you will find your phone doesn't work. And that is because South Korea operates a completely different system for mobile phones. That is an example of a technical barrier. So, a free trade agreement can be said to be a do our best to work together so that people in our respective countries, the EU being one country, the UK being another, can trade together lawfully, safely, healthily, fairly, with the minimum of obstacles and unfair competitive practices. Something France has struggled with. And if you do go to my blog and look at Brexit statements of the obvious for business, you will see some good examples of how France does struggle with being fair in competition. Finally, a word on direct taxes. The EU directives on cross-border mergers, royalties, all of those will disappear and have already ceased to have effect on the 31st of January. So under the withdrawal agreement, we can't introduce rules that deviate from those until 1st of January 2021. But after that, we can do whatever we want subject to WTO terms. But if you have a structure that is relying on those directives involving the UK, then you do need to review them. And that's whether you're relying on those directives as a primary defense or as a backup to a double tax treaty. The then Prime Minister, David Cameron, was very clear in his Project Fear campaign that if we voted to leave, we will leave on WTO terms. That's what 17.4 million people voted for. We'd like a free trade agreement, but we are prepared to be there without one. From a goods perspective and a services perspective, that just means you treat us like you would the United States or any other country. Now, Cyprus is the most tax-friendly place in the European Union. It also has a brand new double tax treaty with the United Kingdom, dated 2020. And I'm not just saying that because it's the Great Britain-Cyprus Business Association. I can actually demonstrate that with hard data and reasons as to why Cyprus is a highly preferable jurisdiction within the European Union. But I suppose the big secret is that the UK is the best corporate tax haven in the time zone, if you ignore the weather. And it's also the best tax haven for wealthy individuals, as long as you're not born here, as I have the misfortune to do. What can we all learn from this? Well, politicians are telling us the world will end. According to David Cameron, a new European war will break out. I've got news for you, it's already broken out. It's an economic war. It was undeclared and Germany is winning, hands down. Fear and uncertainty are the weapons of choice for politicians. The winners are those that will ignore the fear, buckle down, provide what clients want in your chosen market, not in somebody else's, at a price the client can afford. And above all, read the law, not the pamphlets. Thank you very much. As I say, a fuller text of this will be available later on today on the blog and on various other sites. Thank you. We can't hear you.
The microphone. Stella had an issue with her camera. I forgot to open my microphone. So our next speaker is Mr. Raj Bra, the Business Development Manager at Quarantina Homes Cyprus. And he will be talking to us about the benefits of living in Cyprus. He will give us a general information to Quarantina Homes and the lifestyle of Cyprus in general. Allow me to say that Mr. Raj Bra studied originally hotel management in one of my favorite cities in the US, which is Boston. And I have to say that you have an American accent, Raj. But he opted to come to beautiful Cyprus at the European University to complete his studies in business studies. So he worked for a very prestigious 5-star hotel here in Paphos. And now he's giving his expertise and his strategic planning and ideas to Quarantina Homes. So, Raj, we're all ears.
Thanks a lot, Paula. Thank you for the introduction. I hope everyone can hear me very loud and clear. First of all, I would like to thank Cyprus UK Business Association for giving me this opportunity and all the participants that they have taken their precious time to come and listen to us and see us. Everyone asking the same question because my name is a very stereotypical name, as you all know, Raj. So you all must be wondering something is Indian about him. So yeah, I was born in India myself. My parents are from India, but I lived in India only for 5 years. I grew up in Toronto, Canada myself. But I came to Cyprus over 15 years ago. So I can truly say Cyprus is my home. I've made Cyprus my home ever since I first set foot here. Now, the moment I came to Cyprus, I'd never been here before, but it was very clear for me straight away that Cyprus has a very high standard of living as compared to other countries. There are so many different benefits which I can list for a person like me who's coming from a cold country to live in Cyprus, but I'll try to keep it brief and try to give you some of my most important points why it matters a lot for me and why I think Cyprus has the highest level of lifestyle. Obviously, first of all, is the weather. Cyprus enjoys over 320 days of sunshine, sometimes even 340 days a year. It's fantastic weather throughout the year. You can really have a lot of fun outdoors. The sea and the beaches are so clean. You can swim throughout the year. Cyprus is one of the very few countries where you can swim and ski on the same day. Now, having lived in other Commonwealth countries myself, Cyprus was a very easy transition. It is a country where nearly everyone speaks English because one of the key contributors to the GDP of the country is tourism, and a lot of tourists are coming from the UK. And Cyprus being a colony of the UK, being a Commonwealth country, it's very evident that English is one of the primary languages. We practice UK common law in Cyprus. We drive on the same side as the UK in Cyprus. So that makes life very, very simple and easy for anyone who wants to relocate from the UK to a country like Cyprus. I cannot emphasize the importance of English speaking more, because everyone talks in English. It's so easy to live in Cyprus in that respect. Apart from that, Cyprus has been ranked with various magazines one of the safest country to live, and I've experienced this firsthand. It is so safe, anyone can walk around in the nights with families. There is no problems at all, which gives Cyprus a real edge over other countries. Apart from that, I would like to add that Cyprus has one of the lowest cost of living in Europe. The life is pretty reasonably priced. You can get everything, if it's you're buying a house, or it's your electricity bills, water bills, cars, your insurances, all your daily, your grocery shopping, it's pretty reasonably priced. I must mention one of the negatives about Cyprus right now is the food. The food is so good in Cyprus that there is a very big chance you're going to put a few kilos. Like you've seen here, myself, I've put about 20 kilos since I've come to Cyprus. You cannot resist the amazing food and hospitality of local people here. The hospitality in Cyprus is very genuine and is very real, which you can see in your daily life, you know. Now, having said that, myself, I've been living in Paphos. I've made Paphos as my home. For the past years, I've been in Cyprus. Paphos is one of the cities which is located on the western end on the island. It is a place which is, I can say without a doubt, most favorable for people coming from the UK to make it as to make Paphos as their holiday home destination or their second home. It has its own international airport, which makes Paphos a very convenient destination from the UK, because there are flights daily to all the different airports in the UK. Paphos is considered as tourism capital of the country. Why I say that is because Paphos has the longest season in the country. It has a season of nearly 10 months. It has something for all age groups. There are people, young people coming over to Paphos for honeymoon. There are people coming as a family. There are people coming to play golf. So there is something for everyone. If you see the number of 4 to 5 star hotels in Paphos, it's one of the top in the country. All the golf courses of Cyprus are in Paphos. There are water parks for the kids. There is the largest zoo for the kids. There are water sports. I cannot list the amount of activities which you can do in Paphos. So that made me to make Paphos as a home as well, like many other people coming from the UK. Having said that, we as a company, Quarantina Homes, I would like to give you a brief introduction about it, because we are also based in Paphos. Quarantina Homes, we are one of the largest real estate developers in Cyprus. We are experts in building seafront luxurious resorts. Currently, we are building 4 seafront resorts in Paphos, all very unique, which I will be giving you a bit more information in a bit. We are a company which provides A to Z of the services to all its clients. When I say A to Z of the services, what I mean is that we are also the developers. We also have construction companies. We provide after-sales services, and we can also do property management. Having said that, we are also a company which is into hotel development, because currently we are building a 5-star hotel in Paphos again, as other residential developments. Our company has won many European awards. Just to list few, is Best Residential Development for Cape St. George's, and Best Hotel Design, and Best Residential Villa. It's all by European Property Awards. We as a company we are a lot into sports. We are primary sponsors for Paphos FC Football Club. We are also sponsors for volleyball team, for basketball team, and we do a lot of philanthropic work as well. Now, just moving forward, I would like to give you a bit more overview of a couple of our flagship projects. And I would like to go to the screen share mode at this moment. Okay, sorry. Yeah, 1 second. I'm just trying to get in the screen sharing mode, and it's not allowing me. The host has disabled screen sharing. I'm just trying to do that. I'm sorry, I apologize for that. I'll get to that in a minute. I told you. Get to that, but carrying on. Sorry for that. We have some technical issue with the screen sharing, but I would just like to give you some information about Cape St. George's, which is one of our flagship projects. It's the largest seafront resort in Cyprus. We are talking about nearly 2 kilometers long coastline, seafront. We are building 200 villas, all luxurious high-end villas, with a 5-star hotel in the resort. Apart from this, we also have a clubhouse which provides 5-star facilities and services to all its residents and owners. We are talking about restaurants on the side, spa, gym. Also, we have 24-hour security, 24 hours doctor on call, tennis courts, basketball courts, horse ranch, babysitter facilities, all these services in Cape St. George's. I can say very proudly that this is one of the fastest selling resort in all Cyprus. We are doing extremely well in Cape St. George's. Apart from this, we also have another resort which is called Soho. Soho Resort is one of the projects which is the only resort in Paphos which is allowed to build high-rise. In Paphos right now, we are not allowed to build high-rise more than 6 floors, but we are the only developer. We have permission to build high-rise just on the main tourist area, right next to the university, 5 minutes to the golf course, and in front of the beach. So this is another resort which we are coming up. Now, apart from these seafront resorts, we also have more affordable developments where we have villas, which are very favorable for families, conveniently located around the facilities and services, and apartment blocks. And I will be very happy to answer any questions related to these resorts or anything else apart from, regarding our company in the Q&A session. Thank you very much. I apologize that we couldn't get to the screen sharing mode, but thank you for your time. I appreciate it a lot. Back to Paula. Thank you.
Thank you, Raj. Just to let everyone know, we would really appreciate after our webinar if you could all send us your notes, presentations, so we could share it, because there are people asking if they could have notes or presentations from the panelists from you. And of course, I assume your contact details will be on these notes and presentations in case they want to reach out to you. So Raj, thank you very much. The next speaker is Stella Zenius. We'll talk about alternative banking solutions for EU and UK companies. in the UK. Stella is the Executive Director of Access International and a member of Access Group Cyprus and UK. And she has helped a wide range of companies and individuals to meet their expectations. I have to say that I'm impressed that she dares to compete with the big players like KPMG, PwC, and Deloitte. She's experienced. She has a history of offering financial services in the industry for over 35 years. Well, still, I think here we have a typo. Isn't it 15 years?
Thank you very much. Well, this shows, I think.
She also has, she's married and she has a son about to enter university in the UK. So best of luck to your son. I hope he's starting soon his lessons. Stella, we're all ears. Eager to hear what you have to say.
Oh, that's very kind of you, Paola. Thank you very, very much for the introduction. Good afternoon to you all, my associates, my friends, and my potential clients. For all of those who don't know me, my name is Stella Zenios. I live and work in London for Access International, which is part of the Access Group, which Paola has already explained to you, and respectfully founded by our CEO, Mr. Mikos Avram Kapiri. I was born, raised, and educated in the UK. I lived in Cyprus for over 25 years, and we recently moved back as a family in January 2019 back to London, thus me working for Access International in the UK. My role in this group is to develop international relations, create new synergies, and assist the Access Group to develop business and projects in a pragmatic manner. We have fully fledged offices in London, the United Arab Emirates, with headquarters in the Republic of Cyprus in Nicosia. Before I start my small speech, I would like to personally thank Savas Kyriakidis, the president of the Great Britain and Cyprus Business Association, for giving us the opportunity to deliver what we feel plays an important role in today's traditional banking climate for the European Union, UK, and other parts of the globe, which will help our international investors who use the EU, UK, and other companies from other jurisdictions to perform their business transactions through the banking network. Since the severe global banking crisis within the EU and other parts of the world, there have been a lot of changes within the compliance requirements of the banking world, with strict rules and regulations for existing and new customers. I need not say any further on this, as I'm sure we've all experienced the same reasoning behind this. This involves normal trading companies, holding companies, clients' accounts, and regulated gaming companies, from low to high risk. The banks have the right to close accounts, block accounts, or ask for additional supporting due diligence before any transactions can take place. And this is what is currently being faced on a large scale everywhere. Having said all the above, I am not in any disagreement with these factors. However, opening bank accounts in the EU does take an awful lot of time, from experience that is, and can be quite painful at times with all the questions that are being raised before a business account or a personal account is opened. Our view in this is always to have a viable, solid, safe backup solution when opening bank accounts, and when applying for a business account for an EU jurisdiction. We can help you in the UK. We have discovered that the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority in the UK, permit governed licenses to electronic money institutions, which in fact work the same way as a normal bank, for international transfers by SWIFT, CHAPS payment, which is a clearinghouse automated payment system in the UK, and SEPA transfers within the European Union, which is a cheaper form of transfer with IBAN and sort code and SWIFT code, of course. We at Texas International can make your lives easier to open EU companies and UK companies to have corporate bank accounts. So, for example, Cyprus companies, Malta companies, Bulgaria, and other countries in the EU, together with UK legal entities. This shall entail a GBP currency with a direct, This shall entail a Euro and GBP currency with a direct IBAN number and a SWIFT BIC code, which is safer and cheaper for easier processing through the network. We can also open a US dollar account, Canadian dollar account, and Swiss franc account, but this shall be rated as a pool account only. We work very closely with an EMI licensed bank in the UK and Denmark, which provides the account opening services as described earlier. The directors and the shareholders do not need to be UK residents, which is an added benefit here. The application process from our offices is swift and easy, and subject to their compliance approvals, you can have your business accounts and your personal accounts opened and active within 7 working days, subject to all the criteria being met, of course. There is also full internet banking and mobile banking, which is available once the account is approved, with a security level procedure via one-time password from any mobile number provided from any country around the world. We have been working with SafeNet Pay, the electronic money institution, FCA regulated for quite some time, and have opened many accounts with success. Clients are happy that they have an alternative option. Most of our associates all around the globe are happy with this alternative and can safely say that the system is working well for their clients. What I would like to say is that we have many associates all over Europe. What we recommend to clients is that they do open accounts with the Cyprus banking system, but have a backup and have an alternative just in case. I must add, though, that we also work with major retail high street banks in the UK. For example, we work with Metro Bank, which is our main partner, who is the only bank in the UK, I must say, that provides a personal face-to-face service. Whereas Lloyds, Barclays, or NatWest, or TSB are different. In other words, you need to apply online. You need to wait at least 2 to 3 weeks for an official answer. The other disadvantage is that UK banks do not open EU companies. So they will not, someone comes in with a Cyprus company and say, I want to open my Cyprus company in a UK retail bank. The answer will be at the moment, no, let's wait until 2021 and see what happens. We can, of course, open UK companies with retail banks in the UK. However, they normally do require UK resident directors, a registered office address in the UK, but shareholders can be of a foreign origin if required. If you need to discuss anything in more detail, please don't hesitate to contact me on my coordinates, stella@exusgroup.com, and I shall be glad to have a call on social media or at your preference to elaborate on this process. I would like to thank you for your time. Keep well, keep safe, and I look forward to any questions or inquiries. Thank you very much and have a nice afternoon.
Thank you, Stella. Thank you very much. Well, last but not least is Mr. Alexander Christofiadis, his partner at Adler Shine LLP within the audit and assurance team. And I believe his question is quite intriguing as well as the title of his speech. Brexit, how ready are you? Well, Alex, I'm so eager to hear what you have to say, but first allow me to say that Although Alex was born in London and moved to Cyprus at a young age, after he graduated from the American Academy and completed his national service, well, London won him back. So he studied at Middlesex University with a first-class degree in accounting and finance. He was a double prize winner in the process, winning both the CIMA Management Accountants and Butterworth's tax prizes. Later on, went to join West End practice as a chartered accountant. Then he moved to MHA McIntyre Hudson. And then in the beginning of 2020, Alex is a partner at Anchor and Shine, where he brought his enthusiasm, as his colleagues like to say, along with the corporate compliance knowledge that he has. He understands the inherent and business risk faced by large companies and businesses, and especially this was his entrepreneurial and commercial flair that I think he's passionate about. Alex, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Paula, and thank you very much to Sava and the team for organising this event, and of course the attendees for joining us. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of a background, firstly about the Brexit, and then move on to some things which I think will hopefully be some useful information for people. So as Stephen correctly said earlier, the UK officially left the Europe on 31st of January. And at that point, they agreed the withdrawal agreement, which allowed for a transition period till the end of December this year. And until then, it's business as usual. The transition period is a point for them, for both sides to have some time to adjust, prepare, and get a deal done. Now, a deal was always going to be very difficult to do because most deals take years to do, so to get one done in 11 months was always going to be a challenge. Now, they did have the option to extend the transition period, but that deadline expired on the 30th of June. And so despite COVID and everything else, this is the period that we're going on with. Now, although the UK is going to leave Europe on the 31st of December, the actual deadline that they need to work towards for a deal to be done is actually mid-October. It's widely seen as the unofficial deadline for completing a deal because that's when there's going to be an EU summit. And following that, it will still give them enough time to turn whatever they agree into law and get that ratified by the parliaments on both sides. So October, 2 days away now, maybe too soon. So it may be a stretch into November for them to get a deal done. But for a deal to be done and to be agreed, I think it's going to be fair to say that politicians on both sides are going to need to compromise to get a deal done. To put it into context, in 2019, the EU accounted for 43% of the UK's exports and 51% of their imports. Some are worried that due to the COVID-19, there may be some delays, but there's also fears that those people who are a little bit more radical will use COVID-19 as an excuse to push through regardless and maybe have a bit of a tougher deal for what they want. But the risk of a no deal is very high. If a deal can be done, it's fair to say that due to the time restrictions that are there, it's likely to be a very basic model. Now, they've still got quite a lot to sort out. I know Stephen mentioned earlier about fishing. Fishing is one of the areas that they need to sort out, as is the Irish border and governance on future agreements. But also, as Stephen mentioned earlier, it's about keeping it a playing field, a level playing field. Now, all trade deals have these types of measures in place, and they're designed to keep things even and not give businesses an unfair advantage with their competitors. Europe at the moment would like the deals to stay close to the existing rules. The UK obviously have said, well, that's the whole reason we want Brexit. We don't want to be close to those rules. So it's going to be a bit of a sticking point for them to get that done. If no trade deal is agreed, then tariffs and border checks are going to have to come into place and the World Trade Organization rules are going to kick in. Along with that, we're looking at customs duties and declarations as well as VAT. Now, I'd like to remind people also that whereas VAT can be reclaimed, unlike that, custom duties cannot, and it's a bottom line cost, which means that as people are importing, exporting either into the UK or UK into Europe, it's going to add additional costs onto their products, and it's going to make their businesses and their products harder to sell. So there's lots to think about, and I think there are some easy wins in there as well for if people can get their houses in order before December. So one of the important points that people need to, especially businesses that have products that they're actually selling and importing, exporting, is to establish their Incoterms position. Now, Incoterms, or the International Commercial Terms, are a series of predefined commercial terms set by the International Chamber of Commerce. And they define whether the seller or the buyer is regarded as the importer, and therefore who is responsible for those duties and the VAT. So that information can be found on places like the International Chamber of Commerce website and HMRC in the UK. So it's important for people to establish those. Other important items is going to be the customs procedures. There's lots to be said about warehousing at the moment. That's quite a field in itself. And also about getting customs agents. Now, they are going to be in high demand. So if you are importing or exporting, please do make sure that you have your customs agents sorted out. The other easy win is to get what's called an EORI number. So that's the Economic Operators Registration and Identification number. And for businesses and people wishing to do business, they need an EORI number because that's what they have to declare to customs for customs procedures. The UK EORI numbers will no longer be used after 1st of January 21. So UK businesses will need to register in a European jurisdiction, Cyprus being ideal, to get their own EORI number. So please do so if you need one. The other potential requirement will be to have a fiscal representative. A fiscal representative usually has a license to act on behalf of non-resident companies and will help them sort out goods and services locally, including VAT. I had a research in Cyprus. A fiscal representation is required in Cyprus unless there's a bank guarantee for deposited amounts for the tax authorities. So something to look at over there. Then we come to VAT. There could be a requirement for an overseas VAT registration in every European jurisdiction UK companies have to deal with, and likewise for Cypriot companies or European companies coming into the UK, they may need a VAT registration here. Refunds in the UK side of things can still be claimed up to December 20 for any expenses incurred, but they have to get those refunds claimed by 11 PM, that's UK time, on the 31st of March 21. After that date, they'll need to check whatever the processes are in the UK, or UK businesses will need to check what the processes are in the European countries that they're servicing. Interestingly, companies providing digital services which are subject to VAT currently use a system called MOS, that's the mini one-stop shop. And that system will stop being available to companies in the UK from the 1st of January 21. Again, if a UK business wants to take advantage of this, they will need to register in a Cypriot company, for instance, Cyprus, for example, to get a MOS registration, or another EU country. But since it's the Cyprus and UK Business Association, it seems appropriate to put Cyprus forward there. Now, one of the questions we do get quite a bit is whether or not an overseas presence is required. Now, in some jurisdictions, all you may need may be just a registration. However, there is talk of overseas branches, a permanent establishment, or key workers there, or whether they need an actual full-blown subsidiary of their current group. What you might need will depend on your individual circumstances. So speak to your business advisors, come speak to us if you need to. We'll be more than happy to advise on those areas. There's also quite a few other things to consider. We talked earlier about EU requirements for directors. In the UK, you don't have to have an EU director, but just a reminder that UK individuals will no longer be part of the EU, and therefore, in some jurisdictions where an EU director is required, you will no longer be able to have a UK individual as that European director. Companies should also be careful of creating a branch overseas. So you may create a branch if you have employees or quite large contracts in overseas jurisdictions. So you just got to be watching out for those areas. I believe Stephen mentioned earlier about there's a new tax treaty between UK and Cyprus, but depending on the tax treaties that already exist, and the structures that already exist. Just watch out for any additional tax. For example, on dividends, there may be double tax on dividends, withholding tax, so that may become a new tax that's being implemented on the cost. Likewise, anything to do with transfer pricing, there may be some risk there of exposing higher transfer pricing risks. We also can't discount the impact to the workforce. There may be travel requirements, and so there may be now requirements for new local rules, regulations, visas, immigration rules that may apply to staff or business people traveling, apart from probably queuing up at the airports in a slightly different line. The other advice that we're also trying to encourage people to do is to look at their supply chain. Whilst you may have your house in order, it doesn't mean your supply chain does. So make sure that they're on board. All your customs and logistics partners are already as well. There are already talks that the borders and the likes of Dover are going to have very long queues for people trying to get through customs. Unfortunately, despite everything that's going on, it doesn't seem like everyone is ready for it, least of all the UK government themselves, but that's no surprise. So you just got to watch out for those types of things. So the top tips that I think were on there was to get your URI number, customs agents, potentially a duty deferment account, duty deferral account, and a fiscal representation. And our firm's happy to help with anything that you may need. We're based here in London, but we have quite a few experts in tax areas, so happy to help if we can. And I'll pass over to Paola. Hopefully ran through that quickly enough to try and get us a bit back on time.
Okay, great. I think we're okay. And with Alex's very important information that we've received, I took some notes here, Alex. We came towards the end of all of the presentations of the panelists. I've noted down some questions here, and I will proceed in asking you. All the attendees that are with us, please feel free to ask your questions. You can type them down in Q&A. There's also a chat. So allow me to go to the first question that came in, and I believe Mr. Savas-Avidis will surely answer this. Savas, the question is the following. Where does Cyprus stand with the investigation of golden passports, which was highlighted by Al Jazeera, that a number of criminals and pets have been given passports? And what are the next steps for Cyprus with the EU in making sure we have a fit and proper system in place?
Okay, actually, I'm glad that I can see these questions coming out, and because indeed there is a lot of discussions that's going on around how safe is the Cyprus investments programs, and why suddenly everything is out in the news about Cyprus giving passports over to criminals and PEP. Now, I have to say that always when there is something new, always when you do something that you've never done it before, when you do your first steps, you do mistakes, and we make mistakes in Cyprus. Okay, when the Cyprus Investments Program was introduced, the good thing, however, and the most important thing that I could say here is that we realized our mistakes. We realized that there was loopholes on the system, and through the years we make such changes that makes the program today safe, secure, and also more improved. Let me also state here, Paola, just to answer the question, that as soon as this came out, the first thing that the Cyprus government has done is to establish and appoint 3 very well-known personalities in Cyprus in order to investigate all the cases, in order to find out what exactly happens on each case. Secondly, the Cyprus Bar Associations, as a regulatory body, started immediately all the investigations in order to find out who from the providers have been in breach of their duties, if they've been in breach of their duties. And also, and last but not least, the Parliament, the Cyprus Parliament had introduced such changes over on the system, which make it today even more efficient, more strict, and more reliable. I will stick to the word reliable because it's very important to have a program that it's safe, not only for Cyprus, but the whole Europe. Because yes, we should not forget that from the moment that someone getting the Cyprus nationality, then it's giving him access over in Europe. But it shows that with the recent changes that has been made over on the system, the Cyprus investments programs now, compare it with any other program of any other country, I have to say that is standing very, very, very well at the moment. The changes that have been made, social funds, criminal records, due diligence, and a lot of other searches that needs to be done before an application has been accepted, it proves that we have a very strong and very good mechanics behind us that is checking everything today. I repeat, however, again, not to be misunderstood, that mistakes have been made in the past, okay? We realize our mistakes and we try to change it. The worst is if you know that there was mistakes that has been done, and then you sit down and lie down and say, okay, everything is fine, don't listen, that's something that, you know, they try to damage on the reputations of Cyprus. No, we realize our mistakes and we fix it. And we're still fixing it, and we are more than welcome to listen any of other European leaders around Europe if they really want, and if they have more to say about the Cyprus investment programs, how to make it even more effective, we'll be more than happy to listen to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Savas. Another question is, which I believe Stella could answer this, Alex, or both. A few days ago, there was an announcement on the radio, and we've seen it in the media. How do you comment, and I need your comment, that banks are closing the accounts of clients that live outside the UK? Stella, your microphone. Please open your microphone.
Hello? Okay. Sorry, can you repeat? The banks are closing accounts for clients?
We've heard, it says we've heard on the radio, latest update, and we've read it in newspapers that banks are closing the accounts of their clients who live outside the UK. For example, let's say some British people that they're expats, they live in Cyprus, and suddenly they read this in the news, they heard it on the radio. How do you comment on that? Is
okay,
that,
we're talking about people that lived in the UK have moved to Cyprus and have UK bank accounts that have been closed, correct?
They have, as I understand, they have bank accounts in the UK, obviously, to be able to get their pensions while living in Cyprus.
Yeah.
But banks, they mentioned that Barclays has announced something.
Correct. Okay, I understand what's happened here. With regards to Barclays and many other banks as well, there were a lot of accounts in the last, I would say, 5 to 8 years that were closed, okay, due to the main area of being dormant. In other words, what I mean by dormant, I mean non-active accounts. Also, banks have been sending out letters asking their clients where they are a tax resident or where they're domiciled. And if those letters are not responded to within the time period stated, then they actually give them a time period of closure. And I know that there were many accounts in the UK that were under this status, updating due diligence, their domiciled country, why they're not using the account so often. There's many reasons, and KYC, updating their records. Some people didn't respond, and when they don't respond, the banks take no option but to close down the relationship. And this is why I think primarily this is the real reason behind it.
Thank you.
They do their updates, they do their checks, and they know. So this is my reasoning.
Thank you. The next one goes to Raj. In regards to the type of investment that Quarantina Homes requires, is it a high net worth individual targeted company? Do you have to have a specific high net worth budget, let's say, to be able to invest in purchasing from Quarantina Homes?
Yeah, I mean, if the question is if we have high net worth, high investment properties, is that the question is? If that what we are dealing with? I didn't get the question right, Paula. Can you repeat the question, please?
What type of investment does the Quarantina Homes require? Is it a high net worth individuals targeted company? So
no, basically we have projects which they can cater for all different price brackets. Now, obviously, Cape St. George's and Soho and our flagship projects, which are seafront, they are definitely luxurious resorts where the investment bracket obviously is higher. But it doesn't mean that we have no other projects. We have other projects which they cater for more, for example, villa projects and apartment projects, which they are more affordable. So the price range starts anything from 300,000 euros and goes up to 12 million. So we have apartments, villas up from 300,000 euros up to 800,000 euros, for example. And then we have villas starting from 1.5 and go up to 12 million euros in our different resorts.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And one more question. What rights does the settlement status give to EU individuals? Alex?
So at the moment, the rights for EU citizens living in the UK by the end of December, 31st of December 20, will remain the same until June 2021. That's 30th of June 2021. But you need to check and your status for after that and whether you're eligible to stay in the UK. There's a link I'm about to put into the answers sheet so you can check on there. There's going to be a new immigration system from January onwards, so it's going to be on a points-based system. The UK is applying that equally to EU and non-EU citizens because they're trying to attract the people that are going to contribute to the UK economy. So people who want to work here will have to apply and pay for a visa, but how that will work, they haven't yet announced. So hopefully that gives you the answer you need.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very much. There is another question for Stella. Do you know if the UK banks will proceed to close active bank accounts for individuals not residing in the UK and not UK domicile?
Sorry, the line was cracking. Can you repeat that question again? I apologize.
There is another question about the bank accounts. Do you know if the UK banks will proceed to close active bank accounts for individuals not residing in the UK and not UK domicile? We're talking about active bank accounts with full KYC up to date.
Yeah, in the current climate and the way things are at the moment, to open a UK personal bank account, you must be a UK resident. You must have a form of utility bill, living in the UK, as evidence. And you should be working and living here to have a personal bank account here. This is for the retail banking sector. I remember when I moved to the UK after so many years in January last year, opening a personal bank account was an absolute nightmare. And I know that my bank manager is listening to this conversation, because he says to me, go and get yourself 2 utility bills, get your I had my national insurance number, get your up-to-date letter, which I didn't have. So there's me running around trying to get utility bills in my name, although I was working here. Otherwise, you fail the credit scoring process. So this is the situation at the moment. Whether it's active, whether it's not active, the banks have their procedures, and we have to stick to that.
Excellent. So there are no more questions from what I can see. I do not know if anyone wishes to add something. I will ask for Mr. Savas Kyriakidis to make a closing speech, if possible. Thank you very much, Savas, for organizing this, having this initiative. I believe that we highlighted many important subjects, and as we said, we will be able to provide all the attendees presentations and notes. You can either send them to me or Mr. Kyriakidis, and we will forward them to everyone who was watching us. Savas?
Yes, thank you everybody for your presentation. Before we leave, I think I want to make one question to either Alex or Stephen or Stella. Are you optimistic that after Brexit, the UK is the right place to live? And in case you are leaving, the second question is, in case you decide to leave the UK, do you believe that Cyprus is the right place to invest or to relocate or even to live as a family? Just as a closing statement. I don't know, Stephen.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, I think certainly England's a very good place to live, particularly if you're high net worth or well known. London is a city where the famous disappear and nobody pays you any attention whatsoever. If you are not British born, it is a great tax haven to come and live here. The main downside, which I always question people about, is the weather. Although on the bright side, if you don't like it, wait a minute, it'll change. But that would be my comment.
And Alex, do you believe that Cyprus is the right place for someone to, if they decide they want to relocate or to move away from London?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got the hospitality, the weather, the good food. It has always been one of the safest places to live. So having a family myself, it's something I've often pondered and wondered whether or not we make the move and head back out there. So in terms of places, why choose anywhere else?
Okay. Well, we're all waiting for you to visit us sometime soon then. So from the country of the endless summer, and from us here at Michael Kyprianou, the third largest law firm in Cyprus with 9 offices in 6 countries. I hope you enjoyed this afternoon. Panelists and attendees, we will organize another webinar soon, Mr. Kyriakidis. Keep informing our audience, our attendees, our people in the UK and abroad. So, Mr. Savas-Avidis, you are the host of this meeting, so it is up to you to end the meeting, to end the webinar. as you wish. So open your microphone, Savas, please, so we can hear.
Sorry, I'm just pushing the button, but it seems that doesn't want to work for me. Anyway, all right.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Stay
Thank you.
safe, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.